Peace and love, family, and welcome back to another episode of the Health Class You Never Had. We are your host, the Collective Health Initiative, aka the Chi. Glad to be here with you once again. You can join us every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time live on Facebook as we bring you this information and this perspective on holistic wellness concepts that and simplify how we can implement it and understand it for ourselves, for our families, and for our community. With us on the broadcast today, we have Sister Safan Pickett of Royal Reset. Peace, Sister Safan.
Peace, y'all.
How you doing today?
Wonderful, even though I hear an echo.
Oh, is it coming from my side?
No, I hear myself echoing, which is kind of weird, but I don't know. Hopefully this is coming through well to all of you out there.
I hear you well.
Excellent.
Thank you, Sister Safan. Peace, Mama Elaine Williams, our comedic yogini, aka and our breathologist. Peace, Mama Elaine. How are you today?
Dr. Yu, I am well. Grateful to be here, and I'm offering our listening audience peace, balance, blessings, and welcome.
Excellent. We have Master Rashep. Master Rashep is our comedic metaphysical warrior priest, and he's joining us today. Peace, Master Rashep.
Right on, peace, health, and wholeness to all. Always a joy and a pleasure to share information and to serve and to be a part of this wonderful broadcast. Just wonderful family here. Good thanks.
Beautiful. And we want to shout out to our members who were not on this broadcast with us live, but are still present nonetheless. We have Ketnu Nefer, who is our women's wellness specialist and massage therapist, owner of A Soulful Touch Wellness LLC. We have Precious Mother Love, our sacred arts curator and owner of Love Plus Art Equals Wellness. We have Clarice Manning of Rooted in Nature, our natural body care specialist. And we have Sister Precious Porter of Precious LLC, behavioral therapist, crisis intervention specialist, and advocate against domestic abuse. So peace to you all as well. And today's episode is entitled We Breathe For. So I'm going to turn it over to Sister Safan to intro.
Every Monday. This goes on every Monday.
Master Chef, can you mute yourself?
Pardon.
Yes, so Sister Safan, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce this topic today. We breathe for. What does this topic mean and what is it about?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Yu. So we are all very, very aware of the climate that our nation and the world is in right now. We've pretty much been hit with not just one, but two simultaneous tragedies facing us and our families right now. And in particular, in regards to the one we're talking about today, is the situation surrounding the George Floyd incident. It is not unique to George Floyd. It has pained our community numerous times over a significant amount of years, but this time it seems a little bit different. For some reason, right? We have come together, and we have come together to support each other through our pain. And in honor of that, some of us are very, very familiar with the term, with the phrase that both he and Eric Gardner used, I can't breathe. But instead of repeating that mantra, we have today chosen to breathe for all those that are affected by this crisis, in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of coming together, in the spirit of healing ourselves as a community collectively. We have chosen to breathe for everyone. And through that, today we're going to talk about some situations that many of us may find ourselves in, and how do we prepare to face those situations? What do we do when we're in the midst of those situations? And also a little bit about what if we can't go out there and protest? How can we also actively be participants in this revolution? So, yeah.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And it's so important, for us, especially as people in the health field, to have some input and to be able to support those who are going through, especially those of us who are melanated people. I like to use the term melanated people. Those of us who are melanated people in this society who are going through these different traumas and, experiences that are unique in a sense, to us in this community. And the things that we deal with on a day to day that we don't always have a sufficient release from. So we're going to turn it over to Mama Elaine. Mama Elaine's going to tell us some things that we can do to build up ourselves, to fortify ourselves from a spiritual standpoint, to face the challenges that we face on a daily basis. So Mama Elaine.
Thank you, Dr. Yu. Indeed, trying times take effort, and they take intentional effort, these trying times. Sister Safan talked about being able to plan, being able to respond, being able to know something about what's about to take place when we've got trauma at our heels. One of the things we can do is to be on guard to invite wisdom. Inviting wisdom in any religious or spiritual organization has its form. For our comedic posture, we specifically hone in on the third eye. That particular place will allow us to make contact with our intuition. That intuition was given to us as a tool to be used, and our ancestors knew that. Returning to a space where we recognize our ancestors as having gone places that we will someday ascend to. And those ancestors are called by many names, some from a long time ago. Some ancestors in our DNA were from just very, very recently, as we know. Nonetheless, the guidance of wisdom is one that we can hone in on by spending time recognizing, appreciating, being grateful for the gifts that we do have, and listening, honing in on those listening skills, listening to our bodies oftentimes is a very subtle art. It's an art that will center us mentally. It will center us with our Creator spiritually as well. Have you ever had things you just can't get to? I mean, you're almost giving birth to this thing, something you really want to make happen. And it just doesn't quite come until you sit under the guidance of your own spiritual wisdom. So we put on our armor by working that physical component of the breath. The breath being something that we have access to and we have conditioned or can condition, is access to that very component that allows us to, where are my hands? To know. there they are, allows us to know. Every time you see me, you'll notice I am taking breaths. That's what we'll need when we face trauma, breaths that will help our heart to be still, breaths that will help our physical body rejuvenate. We'll have on our full armor when we're able to take those breaths, take time for them. And how will I do that in the middle of all the rage, all the rioting, all the noise? Not only on the outside, but the noise in our minds. How? How do you do that? I believe it comes through practice. And I believe that because I've experienced that. You practice to be perfect at anything, to be better. Maybe not perfect, but better at anything you do. And your breathing is no exception. You want to know how to start that practice. Set up a time that you're going to sit and pay attention, be conscious of the breath that you were given. That same thing that all of humanity is given, but somehow separated from. You want to start by knowing where you'll be. You knew where you would be when you started this broadcast. Somewhere in front of a computer or some kind of electronic device. Know where you'll be. Mine was a place in the corner. Even before the children were born, I would have an automatic light come on, and that light meant to me be there on time because Spirit knew I was planning to. So to honor that plan, I'd be present. And in that present, another show will probably talk about how another life or another part of my life was born. So start with a time and give yourself a place and be relentless and steady when you practice. Consistency, one step, then the next step. It doesn't have to be a long time. I encourage you to continue through the pain. Why? Because the grass is constantly growing, even between concrete sometimes. It's concrete. And you'll see a little blade of grass stick out because it was persevering, even through all of the obstacles and odds. Community helps with that. They'll see you go off one way or the other. They'll see you change something and say, hey, wait a minute. That's accountability. That's the part that we can't really do without, the outward sign. So breathe with me. I breathe for you to come to the realization of the value that steadiness will bring. Continue through the pain. Use your breath to recover. If you found yourself in a place where you're exasperated, you're breathing high in the chest, and you're just really feeling tight all over, you probably don't even notice unless you practiced. If you did practice, you'll notice there's something out of line, out of kilter, out of order, off balance. That's the time to return to that place of solitude and centering that Sister Safan talked about. Use a de-stress breath. We don't have time to do all of them here, but I'll be working on pop-ups that you can come back to the Collective Health Initiative for. You'll be able to use that energy because energy is life. Now I bought a demo. I want you to know that everything that looks dormant is not dead. Everything that looks dormant doesn't have to be gone forever. So I bought a lesson from a farm, in a manner of speaking, and it's about the seed. I think you can see the seeds. Somebody shake your head. You can see the seeds. So some of these seeds, as I hold them, look like they may have been gone, nothing more. That's it. The seed is over. But a seed from the same crop was able to get just a little bit of air, and then there's breath. I need practice at this one. There's a little bit of a sprout there. Those sprouts with air become nurturing, just like those who have gone before us. Same seed, you thought it was gone, but that seed is yet alive and springing forth new vibrations, nourishment, new life, new energy, new ways to grow. Just as nourishing as the seed it will become. And I know you all are looking at watermelon seeds. Who doesn't love watermelon, right? Nourishing, all kinds of ways to resurge that energy. Now do it. Do it with intention. Take action. That's the difference. Yes, we all breathe. We all know how to breathe, but it is the intention with which we breathe to have a continuum and to bring creation as our Creator has brought to us. So glad you're here to hear. Back to you, Dr. Yu.
Thank you, Mommy Elaine, for that wonderful insight about the breath and life, and how we can utilize that to fortify ourselves. I'm going to turn it over to Sister Safan Pickett. Safan has some good insights about what to do in an acute situation. If you're out there, you're on the front lines, you're protesting, what are some things we can do excuse the background noise, to address ourselves, while we're there and we're going through something on the moment?
Hey, that background noise was quite timely.
Yes, it was. Right on time.
Hey, you can't script
Right.
this stuff.
Right. So absolutely. And thank you, Dr. Yu. Thank you, Mama Elaine. I definitely appreciate the portions of you talking about preparation and how to listen to your own voice. And frankly, that is a number one tool that you're going to have when you're out there in these high energy, high adrenaline, highly dangerous situations. I like to equate it, to back in the day, when we were, young teeny boppers running through the nightclubs in New York City and stuff like that. When you with your crew, right, you have a plan of action, right? And there's always that one person in the crew that's tuned in to everything that's going around you, and they know exactly when it's about to pop off. And that's what you need when you're out there in these high intensity situations. It's preparation, and it's tuning into that energy that Mama Ling was just talking about. But I do want to get into a little bit about what you may need to take with you, and what you may want to kind of have in the back of your mind that you're going to do in the event that you do find yourself in an emergency situation, dealing with a real trauma. So we know out with all of this protesting, there's a few things that could potentially happen to you that you would consider um, an emergent situation, right? So in a traumatic situation, number one, you're not thinking clearly. Your adrenaline is up to here. All of the blood is rushing around your body, and you are in complete sympathetic emergent situation, right? Fight or flight. So your blood pressure is up, your heart is racing. You're not going to be thinking clearly. You have one single view at this point, and that's to get to safety, or it may be about what you're out there protesting about, right? So know that you're not going to recall things 100% accurately, and you just have to do your best while you're out there. And part of doing your best would be to bring something like a protest pack with you. Now, mind you, I am not speaking to you as an authoritative, I'm no longer practicing nursing. So make sure with all of these, the first thing that you're going to be doing to seek is medical care. So, but to prepare yourself to be able to get to that medical care, that in between time when something actually does happen to you, these are some of the things that you may want to prepare yourself with. So when you're out in a protest situation, we know that something like you could fall, you could, brush up against something. Maybe someone has a weapon or something out there, and they use it against you, and you may be faced with either bleeding or a broken bone. Okay, so a broken bone, something really basic. In order to hold you over for that in between time, number one, are you bleeding with your broken bone? And what do you have to stabilize it? So something stiff and something to apply pressure, right? Put it in your pack. With bleeding, there are a few specific uh, things that you can carry with yourself, in small little packs, things that you can purchase. So there's one, two, three, four herbs that I want to talk about, specifically plantain, horsetail, yarrow, and witch hazel can all be packaged in a powder in a small Ziploc bag for you to stick in the side pocket of your protest pack for you to take with you. And you can apply all, including also plain, non with zero additives, vitamin C powder. You can sprinkle those all on wounds. They will slow bleeding, and can potentially stop it. But either way, it's meant to give you a stopgap for you to get to a hospital to get yourself medical care. But those could all be very beneficial and very useful in a protest pack. Plantain also helps with pain. Um, then two of the other, because I'm trying to keep this pretty short, two of the other things that we have also heard much about in the news are tear gas and rubber bullets. So I'm going to start with the rubber bullets, in that being hit by a rubber bullet under all circumstances is a major trauma. That is something that can hide more significant issues than what you might feel initially. And you have all of that adrenaline pumping. You may not initially feel the pain. You probably won't even be all the way aware of what's actually going on with your body. But if you know you've been hit with a rubber bullet, ice, so one of those crack it and shake it ice packs, they're light, they're lightweight, they're small, something very, very efficient to carry. But do know that if you have been hit by a rubber bullet, it's not a good idea to just go home and act like nothing happened, because you may also experience internal bleeding. You may have blood vessels that have popped by these rubber bullets. You don't know. You may have actually even fractured a muscle by a rubber bullet. So if you know you've been hit by one, your number one priority is to get to medical attention. But do not wait. Ice it and get to someone who can actually evaluate your body. This is not the time to go home, sit down, and just kind of like watch it for a little while. You definitely want to get an evaluation. Now, the one that people talk about the most, and that there's a lot of discussion about, is tear gas. So tear gas is actually a chemical that is literally designed to send a message of pain through your centralized nervous system. So most people, when they think of tear gas, they think of your nose and your eyes. But that is not the only thing that is affected by tear gas. The crystalline powder that comes out in a gaseous form, it can burn your skin. The actual device itself can burn your skin. And I'm talking about third and fourth degree burns. So it's hot. It's not something to just take lightly. If you've been exposed to tear gas, the number one thing that you should do while you're out there in it is to maintain your center, find your calm, and figure out which direction the wind is blowing and face that. Because the whole point is to get to oxygen and away from the gas, right? So if the tear gas is blowing directly towards you and the wind is blowing this way, it might not be a good idea to run that way, because you're just running with the tear gas, you know? So find the direction of the wind and find an exit way through facing the wind. And then some of the things that you may also experience afterwards may include nausea, may include vomiting. You may actually see burning on your skin, because it does, the gas is meant to burn everything. It's meant to cause pain. So rinsing off with cold water is definitely your number one defense. So in your protest pack, you're bringing bottles of water. The only other proven, I guess, remedy is baking soda and water, both of which you can carry in a small protest pack along with you. Baking soda is alkaline and the tear gas is an acid. So dropping some baking soda in that water and dousing yourself with it can help neutralize the pain. But number one, you want to get all of that chemical off of your skin, keep it out of your respiratory system, keep it out of your mucous membranes, and prepare for your body to just drool, drip mucus. Like it's all going to come out. That's going to be your body's initial, after the pain, your body's initial reaction is to get it out. So expect to have impaired vision, not just only from the tear gas, but from your body actually trying to expel the tear gas itself. Um, so yeah, baking soda and water. What else did we have? Ice pack. We had a choice of herbs to carry little small packets. I mean, the what I'm describing literally can fit into a fanny pack. So it's not a huge protest pack, you know, but it could mean the difference between you saving a limb, saving your life, and getting out of there unscathed. So I hope that helps someone out there. I hope that it brings a little sense of control for those that are out there in those in environments. You can do things to protect yourself when you're in a protest in a traumatic situation. So I appreciate the share. Thanks, Dr. Yu.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Sister Safan. And I have a question for you before we turn it over to Master the Chef. One of the things that I've been hearing people talk about a lot is milk, like for the tear gas getting into the eyes and things like that. What's your take on that?
So that is, I won't say that it doesn't work because people swear by it, most certainly. And I've actually seen people carrying gallons of milk out there while they're protesting. I mean, if it works, it for you, it works. But when I think about it physiologically, knowing that my body, when exposed to tear gas, is gonna create a lot of mucus. It's gonna have an inflammatory reaction where mucus is rushing out of the body. And I know milk does that as well. I wouldn't make that my first choice. My first choice would be something that's gonna chemically neutralize the acid.
Got you, got you. Thank you for that
Dr.
insight.
Yu,
Yes, Mommy
Dr.
Elaine.
Yu, I just wonder if we've got time that I have a question because I'd be tempted to hold my breath for a few minutes or seconds until I could turn the way Sister Stefan said. You think that would be helpful? You know, in centering. So if I practice, then I can hold my breath a little longer. What do you think?
So deep breaths out there are most certainly not the thing to be doing. Like
No.
I wouldn't tell anybody to hold their breath because the whole point is to keep moving and get out of the situation. But definitely not to be deep breathing and not to run. Because when you run, you breathe deeper. So we gotta like calm down, get back here, think about what's going on and observe. And you gotta breathe to do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
shallow is better than none.
yeah.
Great
One of
question,
the
though.
things that I've experienced, just to share something that I've experienced. Sometimes I walk by somewhere, and especially when I was younger, I would try to hold my breath, like if somebody was smoking a cigarette. When I
Hmm.
happen to be like passing them outside and they're smoking a cigarette, and I don't like the smell of cigarette smoke. So I would hold my breath, and I would let it go maybe like up the street somewhere. And one of the things that I noticed was that when I started breathing again, I can still smell that cigarette smoke. So I don't, I wouldn't say that that's been helpful in my personal experience neither when I've done that, just dealing with different types of gases, but to keep it moving and to, I think that especially being outside and the fact that there is ready oxygen available, that's helpful in helping everything to move through more quickly. That would be my take on it. I don't know how accurate that is. I'm not an expert on that, but that's just been my experience.
It's
And
in the continuum.
Sister Judine had a question asking, "What about the N95 filters?" So that Sister Slaughter is absolutely part of your preparation. We know CV is out here. That don't mean protest acting like it's no CV out here. But N95 filters would actually, I believe, of course, check the packaging, read it for yourself. But they are stated to filter 99.9% of particulates in the air. So N95 filter could block tear gas. Yes. So
Excellent question. All right, so let's Master Shep. If Master Shep is ready, let's turn it over to Master Shep to talk about some things. What can we do if we're not out there, but we want to be supportive anyway? What's some of the things that we could do in that regard?
Hold the vibration. Hold the vibration. And what does my person mean by hold the vibration? First, let's begin by sharing and giving thanks and credence to Breath Master Aaron Motley. A couple of weeks ago on the show, the men's class, he gave a shout out to my person in the heart touch therapy and how the heart touch therapy has shifted his life. My person is giving a testimony now to Breath Mastery and how that has shifted my life. About 8 years ago, he and I shared work together. We shared our services. Not so much sharing as working on each other, but that was a part of it. Working on each other to understand the essence of it. So in a sense, we certified each other. That's what we said. We certified each other. My person certified him as a heart touch therapist. His person certified my person as a breath master. So what my person has did with that information as a breath master is, about 6 years ago, has through practice, give thanks to that reminder, my Lane, about practice, has created what we call the Breath of Life Training, BOLT, or Boat Meditation Initiation System. And again, it deals with the breath, giving thanks to Master Aaron for reminding my person the importance of the breath, sharing techniques and various ways to use the breath as a empowering tool, along with my person's belief as a believer that we can so-called ascend, as mentioned in the Christian Bible with two prophets in the Old Testament, Enoch and Elijah. Scripture said they did not die traditionally. They just, when their work was done, they became one with God at that moment. Just poof, as such. And so again, as a believer, my person holds that as a truism. As said, yes, being that anything is possible, a believer, anything is possible, that too is possible. And yet with anything, any goal one has in mind, one has to have a plan. And so again, giving thanks to Breath Master Aaron, who allowed my person to put together a plan for what we call ascension. And that is the Boat Meditation Initiation System, hence Boat Initiate. And what that has allowed my person to do for the past 6 years is develop a level of somewhat peace. Because the way it works real quick is like this. It's based upon 3 phases. It's initiation 3 phases. The first phase, we're dealing with awareness. In the awareness stage, we simply settle and strengthen. Meaning this, we become aware we're not very peaceful. We become aware, hey man, this is not cool, not peace, I'm triggered or whatever the case may be. So then we settle and strengthen, meaning this. We say, our heart says, we intend to be more peaceful right now. And so at some point, the mind begins to obey the heart as we intend to be peaceful and we practice with the breath to be peaceful. Our intention to be peaceful manifests as being peaceful as we strengthen our relationship between our hearts and our minds. Phase 1, my person, couple years engaged in this, which led my person to the second phase, which is call home and purifying, and the identification phase. In this phase, using the breath again, my person is aware not only when it is not settled, it is aware why, like, okay, because this thought has my person unsettled. We go then and call home and purifying and bringing my person's energy back, meaning this. Anytime there's a conversation 101, even with self, sitting with self, be feeling good, or having a conversation feeling good, and a word comes up, a picture comes up, an image comes up, and all of a sudden the feel good has now become a so-called feel bad. There's a shift. Necessarily when they want that shift to happen, we're like, oh man, you said this, you did that, they did this, and we come in this place. Call home and purifying says that my person, as a believer, my person should be able to entertain any thought, conversation, experience without being moved to the point where it is not pleasing. It is not a vibration that we want. So calling home, calling that energy home from those things in the universe, people, places, things, experiences, calling it home says, hey, don't be moved when this thing come up. Let's calm down. And this is why we shouldn't move, is a part of this boat initiation, phase 2. Phase 3 is my person looking forward to getting to that place. Right now, we're in the call home and purifying stage of our life. We're just calling home bits and pieces. There's a thought come up, my person feels a certain way. At a certain point in time, the person goes with the breath to analyze why. Why? Nonetheless, some of the more. In the third phase, we're dealing with the oneness. Generally speaking, with the oneness. And apologize, this is live video. There's a young brother walking around with his behind out, and he understands he's in the process of leaving. So just a disclaimer, as Dr. Yu said, this is live and it goes down live. So back to the regular schedule, the discussion. Yes, in the oneness phase, this is based upon the principle of law of attraction, the vision board. Whereas when we hold the vibration for things we want using the law of attraction, the theory is as we get excited, arousing our second chakra, our sacral chakra, our lower tangent in a sense. When we're doing this, we're creating excitement. We're stirring up our energy. And the more that we hold this excitement, the theory is we attract that thing we're excited for, law of attraction. In the boat meditation initiation system, in the third phase, we're looking at not so much getting excited, as simply becoming so peaceful, so calm, so settled. And with having all of my person's energies at home pulled in, all of our energy stored in a lighter vibration, there's more of a resonance with the cosmic energy, with the cosmic chi. So now, when my person wishes to will and manifest, it is not simply using my own person's energy, but it's also tapping into the cosmic, the heavenly chi. So it more or less gives us an instant manifestation with the creator of all. So again, in a nutshell, that is the boat meditation initiation system. And as Mama Land again said, practice makes you better. As a believer, my person holds the belief that practice makes perfect. Again, in scripture, it talks about we should be perfect as Christ is perfect. If God is perfect, and as a child of God, as a child grows up, the child should become perfect as well. This is my person's personal take on perfection and its belief system. And how does this relate to breathing and breathing forward? Well, as a result of this practicing, during my person's BC phase, how that applies in the AD phase, BC-AD, meaning this, before Corona and after the disruption. So before Corona, my person was practicing, had a lifestyle of boating for ascension purposes and sharing what it knows to assist others who are becoming more calm and relaxed, whether it be crystals, services, heart touch, just sharing of itself. So now, AD, after the distractions, my person simply again hold the vibration, meaning this. When the novel coronavirus came on the scene, again, the disruption happened multidimensional. Ideally, wherever it was before Corona, BC, was at just suggestion that was at various stages of finding balance between work and play, right? Labor and leisure, occupation and recreation, just finding that balance in life. And then when the Corona came, it seemed as though the distraction was in one or both of those, whether it be work, play, it's the whole nine. And then we add the tension of, what we call it, the racial climate, racial tension in the air. And for a lot of us, again, we realize this is not anything new. But at this time, at this particular point in time and place and space, it has gotten so much attention to overshadow, in a sense, something that's killing most of people. So it's like, okay, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of distractions going on, right? Breathing 4. There is a theory of remote healing or distant healing, right? Even as a student of metaphysics during the time it was in the school, in Institute for Sacred Evolution at the time, one semester we actually practiced remote or distant healing, sending energy. We partnered up and we will practice doing that. So there is a thing of just sending energy. And for those who believe in prayer, whether it be a prayer partner, prayer warrior, those who get down with simply praying. It is known that prayer has an effect whether you're in front of someone or whether that person is across the street, across the country, across the world. Because prayer transcends time and space. The thought, you know, there's a thought that's saying that there's nothing faster than the speed of sound or the speed of light or something like that. There's nothing faster than the speed of thoughts from my person's perspective. So the instantaneous we thought with the breath and intention, that is instantaneously. So how does this work for holding the vibration for and breathing for? Again, the same as someone says, I'm gonna pray for you. Even in our culture, we talk about cultural healing. Many of us are aware that grandmama, big mama, mama prayed for me. In a song, somebody prayed for me. They had me on their mind. They took the time and prayed for me. So much so that we hear people talk about if it wasn't for so and so praying for my person, we would not be here today. So prayer is a very powerful thing. So what my person does with this breath, again, through its practice of Bojan, just sitting with the breath, just sitting, just practicing how to breathe, feeling the air come in, just practicing. Now we're in a position to, let's say, breathe for. Realizing again, after the distractions, a lot of us may not have the capacity, to sit down and just say, hey, let's do a meditation. Life is moving fast these days. So for those who may not have the time, to sit down, and it's a necessity. That is a key. It's a necessity. It's a part of life, but yet you still haven't got at least to the point where you want to be. You practicing breathing now. So my person breathes for you. And there's an inspiration and encouragement for those of us, besides my person, who has taken upon the obedience from Spirit, Mother, Father, God, and like for my person, this is this lane. This is my person's God's Spirit says, hey, operating this way. By being obedient, it allows my person a little space by practicing putting the mask on yourself first to assist someone else. So again, for those of us who BC was already engaged in meditation, quiet time, breathing, this is an inspiration and encouragement for you also to engage more in breathing for others. And as my person close out, we're simply going to take a breath in real time just to facilitate and share what my person means by to breathe for. So at this time, for all those who are engaged in this broadcast and is looking to gain more centeredness, more peace, more groundedness, more rooted in natureness, or more soulful touch, just know that this breath is for you. Give thanks for allowing my person to share.
Thank you, Master Chef. I love how you can see the immediate transformation with that breath. Love that, love that. Quick question for you as well, since I know you're also into crystals and gemstones. Are there any particular crystals or gemstones that you could, or that comes to mind off the top of your head that may help one in their centeredness or in being more mindful with the breathing?
Red jasper comes to mind, as well as any black stone and hematite. Reason being is because these stones have a resonance with the root chakra, and they tend to ground as well as protect. And so again, as a reminder with the crystals, they are used to assist, if you will, training wheels, not to do the job for us. But as we're breathing and we have these intentions, any black stone, black onyx, black tourmaline, black shungite, and again, any red jasper and hematite, these are all grounding. They will ground you center you, get you back into that, okay, what's happening, what we need to do, frame of mind. So, and they all have different properties as well. Just for example, the red jasper, which was mentioned first. The red jasper is for its ground and protecting. It also assists one with the kundalini energy, kind of like a long distance runner, like that type of energy. It's not a burst of energy, but it gives you energy like an IV type of thing. You know, the kundalini energy nourishes that thing while it protects you and
Hmm.
grounding you. The hematite, it grounds and protects, and being as though it is iron and oxygen, it also facilitates blood health, nourishing the blood. And because of oxygen, chances are would help breathing as well, because it is blood, iron, and oxygen, the hematite. And again, the various black stones, all grounding protection. So, you know, feel free to explore. And your person is muted, Doc. Okay, still muted, Doc.
Thank you.
Right on.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Master Bishop. And shout out to Sister Naomi Hannah, who is tuning in on the live stream. Just left a comment. Love that sister there as well. And another sister out in Baltimore doing some great work with art and healing, and really coming into her development with that. So we salute you. And if there are any closing comments at this time from anybody, Mama Elaine, Sister Safan, you have any closing comments?
Master Chef, yes,
Yes, Mama
I
Elaine.
would, yeah, I, I'm prayerful that this audience will embrace the collective effort to set our intentions on the continuum. That is, those seeds that look like they don't have life anymore. We breathe for them. We collectively breathe and invite you, the audience, to breathe with us. I invite you, the audience, to tap into, type in, if you will, what you are breathing for, that we can, as a collective, raise that vibration and bring together the intentions that we set forth with our minds, like Master Chef said. This is doable. This is definitely something that we have been, by our Creator, individually empowered to deliver. I look forward to seeing you on the health class you never had with all of your friends. I look forward to breathing with and for our collective intentions. Ashe.
Shay, give
Sheo.
thanks, Mommy Lane. Shout out to Brother Daryl tuning in as well. Big up, Brother Daryl. And Sister Safan.
Yes, my final words to all of you out there is you are not alone. Change is coming, and often this change begins first within yourself. So work on that healing. We're here to support you through it all. Reach out to us at any time, at all times. Hit us up on the page. We are there actively, working to get through all those comments and things. We love y'all, and please be safe out there. The protests are not over; they're still happening. So peace, y'all.
Work.
Oh,
Indeed, indeed. Master Chef.
yeah. So just as a reminder about this balance, work and play. As they say, all work and no play. You know how that goes. So we would like to invite everyone to stay tuned for Chi Social, kind of happy hour type celebration coming up. Should we announce it or go ahead and put it
Yeah.
out this Friday?
Sure thing. Yes. This Friday at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time, you can
Yeah.
come to the
Go ahead.
Collective Health Initiative group on Facebook, Collective Health Initiative group, and we'll have a room open this Friday, 7 p.m. for anybody who wants to come in and socialize with us, Meet us more on a personal level, and also we'll have an open mic / karaoke jumping off for anybody who, we need those kind of releases. Again, going back to that element, to make sure that we're balancing this out, that we're not just taking in traumatic experiences and the struggle, but we also have things that are nourishing and putting back into our whole being. So this is one of the platforms that we can provide that we welcome you to join us with this Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll open up a room on Facebook inside of the Collective Health Initiative group. Join us. We look forward to seeing you there. And with that said, tune in next week, next Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the health class you never had. Next week's topic, we'll be talking about things that we can do for the summer health, for ourselves to keep us cool, to keep us relaxed. What type of habits we should be, implementing to keep us in the right space. So with that, we say peace and blessings, wholeness to everybody. We will see you next Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Indeed, indeed. Good job and wholeness to all.
Peace, family.